for the Duchess. All right, I know when we started going through this and we got to about this point, I know I was feeling this way, and I don't know if the other administrators in our group were as well, but the thought crossed my mind and stuck, and that was, how in the world am I supposed to get all this done? And when am I going to do that? And, you know, I'm not in classrooms that much now, and how do I add something like that to my plate? So I did a little math that I'm going to run by you, and I ran by the group that we were with yesterday, and see if this makes sense. So if I'm responsible for evaluating 30 certified staff, and I just pick 30 thinking that probably no one has more than that, or at least not close to more than that, there are approximately 20 working days each month, with December and March as exceptions, obviously. And let's assume that I'm in the building there without other meetings and being drawn away for other things for 15 of those days. So 15 days a month I'm in the building. So if I observe 2 teachers a day for 10 minutes, we're saying 5 to 10, after that law of diminishing return according to Marshall. So there's 20 minutes a day. And then if I'm providing feedback within 24 hours to those 2 teachers the following day, so now I'm observing 2 and providing feedback for 2, then I'm talking for 5 minutes. Feedback, well, I said 10 minutes, okay? So now we're 20 and 20. So that's 40 minutes a day on observing and then communicating back. And let's say I just threw another 20 minutes in there just because, you know, I get stopped to fill out the 3x5 card when I leave the room in my back pocket. Yeah. So then we're up to an hour a day. And really the question for me is that too much time to be spending? Or is that, you know, overboard for spending in a classroom talking with teachers and observing an hour a day? I just think that's good practice. And really, for me, Ron, close your ears. Vicki, don't listen. I don't spend that much time now. And so for me, this is going to be really good because I'm going to be in teachers' rooms much more often than what I am now. I always find things and they find me to fill my day. And I think administrators would probably agree with that. There are things that come up that fill our time. But what's more valuable than being in the classroom and having conversations with educators on their teaching and student learning. So I don't think this is too much time, and I think that's pretty accurate as far as ballpark what you should be looking at. To help meet the rubber in the road, H is going to come up. He's already come up with a schedule for his administrators at Bend High, and so he's going to come up and share that with us.
This Marshall book was actually encouraging to me, and it comes encouraging in a back kind of a way. This plan I have up here, I actually came up with it about 5 years ago because I was tired of the way that we did evaluations. It didn't make sense to me. So I kind of came up with this plan, and it's much the same kind of thing that we're talking about right now. So I tried it, and I failed. So I tried it again, and I failed again. And so reading Marshall actually encouraged me because he failed a lot too. And doing this, a key thing that I underline is really self-discipline. You know, we have to get ourselves out of our room to get out there and do it. Now, what we do inside our room is important. You know, I think meeting with teachers is important. I think meeting with parents is important. I think meeting with students is important. I think all those things that we do are important, and so is this. So it does take time, and as we stand here right now, it seems like it makes a lot of sense. But when the course of the day goes, you know, the tyranny of the urgent happens, and we get backed up. And when you get backed up on this, I mean, speaking from experience of failure, all of a sudden you're looking at 2 days, or 2 teachers a day, which is about 40 minutes when you look at feedback, and you couldn't do it that day because you were booked up. Now it's 4, and then it's 6, and then I quit, you know? And that's kind of what happened to me as I went on. So I've already talked to our Mary, who helps me, our secretary, you know, help me stay on task here, and the 3 of us are going to try to help each other stay on task. before I talk about it, and I've probably shared about this on the tables, I would think, none of this really can work unless there's a sense of trust and relationships that are built inside each and every school. Otherwise, it just won't work. That is the pillar of what this whole thing has to be based on. Because I was thinking about it as Sarah was up here, how often do any of us, and now that we're looking at doing evaluations on principals, how often do we put ourselves in situations where we want to be evaluated? Outside of our marriage, which we don't want either, you know, it doesn't happen that often. We don't look to be evaluated. We don't look for those kinds of things naturally in our lives. So, in order for that to happen correctly, there has to be a huge amount of trust. As I meet with these teachers, they have to understand that our motivation is to get what? Better. I need to be better, they need to be better. Why? So kids can get better. That can only happen through relationships. So that has to be said before we move any further, or it's just not going to happen. The second thing I learned is 10 minutes works. You know, I first thought about this, I go, God, 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Can I get anything done in that amount of time? In the short times that I did it, before I failed, I found that that's plenty of time to find out some really key things. You're not looking for everything, just like the book talks about. It does work. You can see within seconds if kids are engaged or not. You can see very quickly if there's visible learning happening. You can see what kinds of instructional practices are happening. You can see if there's some safety issues. You can see all those in about 10 minutes. And the other thing, in the short time that I did it, you know, we have parents that come in and ask me about specific teachers. Now I know a better idea of what they're talking about, you know, because I'm in there. So there's a lot of pluses that can happen in 10 minutes. Okay. Carolyn said one thing that I think was important, and that is put a time frame on it. So I had a time frame on it, and I still failed, you know. So, but it is important. So briefly, this is kind of what it looks like. Between the three of us, we have 2-week rotations. And so the game plan is the three of us, 3 administrators, will observe 2 teachers per day for about 10 minutes. And in a 2-week block of time, I also put in a day or 2 in the end in case we get backed up and we don't get to it. So it gives us a little leeway in there, knowing the failures. So in 2 weeks, now I have to say this too, I guess. I did this before I saw the Mighty Notebook. Okay, so I had a little bit different goals in mind. So it's a little different than what was presented to you, and I think there's leeway to do it differently. I have us observing by winter break, we're in all classrooms 6 times. They'll be observed 6 times by winter break. So this is how it looks. In 2 weeks, every teacher at our high school will be visited at least once, okay, within 2 weeks. In 4 weeks, every teacher will be visited twice. And in 6 weeks, every teacher will be visited by all the administrators once, because we're rotating, okay? So by break, they'll be observed 6 times, total for about an hour. Okay? So that's kind of the goal that we see. Then, after we've done that, that takes us up into January. And on the bottom part there, Group A, January 2nd through February 17th, we like that studio, you know, some of us being in the studio. There's some things about that we really liked. So we wanted to borrow from the studio feel. So on the 7th visit, we're going to look at doing it together, if we can. So that way, the 2 or 3 of us can actually get better ourselves. So if Chris and I go in together, we grab each other, and we go into Leatherwood's class, we'll observe it, then we'll come back out, and a couple things can happen right there. Either one, we can bring the teacher right out with us, if it works in their teaching mode at that time. We won't if it's uncomfortable for them. And then we can actually give them feedback right there while the other one's in the classroom. Or we'll bring them back later, and then two of us, Chris and I, can talk about, hey, what'd you see? This is what I got. So we can get actually better. And then we can meet with Leatherwood and go that way. So then we'll divide that up by groups A, B, and C, and we won't be done by April 1st. We'll be done closer to January 1st or June 1st. So that's kind of how that looks in a nutshell. Now, will it work? If we're self-disciplined, it will work. We also put in there videos. We're going to ask 10 teachers. We'll start with 10. Who would like to be videoed? And it's volunteer, and we'll see how that works. We don't want to cut off too much at one time. Just start with 10. Meet with the teachers. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Video teachers, talk with them, like game film. Like Marshall said, one of the things I had trouble with in this before was feedback. You know, how am I going to meet with these teachers? In our building, it's very big. I mean, it's massive. And in fact, really, we have 2 zip codes on our building. We really do. There's a road that goes between our 2 buildings. We actually have 2 zip codes at Ben High. So it spreads out. It's not by chance that I'm just going to run into our teachers. It has to be planned. So that makes it a little more difficult, really. So that's why doing 2 a day and follow-up, it does take work. It's not just going to happen naturally. So that's our game plan. I don't know if there's questions on that.
All right, thanks, H. To me, that's another exciting part, is sharing ideas. We just happened to hear that HD might have put together a schedule and said, hey, HD, would you mind sharing your schedule? And here it is. So that's something I look forward to as well. Not only teachers interacting with one another, but us as administrators getting better at what we do. Just like H mentioned, is, we do that by sharing with one another, sharing ideas and what's going on. H also mentioned observing. So we're going to watch another video clip, give you another shot at observing. So 9 o'clock is the wrong answer. But watch this video clip. Do we get 16? We did all right? 16? Yes, that's why some people were laughing during the clip. About half missed the gorilla. Oh, there's more. There's more. How about the curtain? Did you catch the curtain? Person leaving the game? Okay, let's watch it again. Same video clip. There she left. Yes, there's her gorilla. Look at the curtain. It's true. Look at the one thing you often miss others. All right, just another tuner up for this school year, looking at observations.